All right, students, these are notes for Unit 10, Day 4. So things that you need your notes, you need your blue page that we've been using, you need your calculator, something to write with, and your two highlighters again. And again, the video is doing some crazy stuff, so we will take it as it is. I know you can hear me well, so just follow in the notes. Okay, so the blue sheet, we have covered everything on the front. And the only thing that we need to cover on the back as far as the theorems are these three right here. So these are the three theorems that will be used on this worksheet. Okay, so first theorem, grab your highlighter. Highlight those two pieces one color. Highlight these two pieces the other color. Okay, so what this says is if you have two intersecting chords and we're not finding the angle, remember if I asked you to find the angle with a picture like this, you would be looking at this picture here where it's add the two arcs and then you divide by 2. But we're not asking you to find the angle. I'm asking you to find a missing piece of the arc. Well, the formula is real easy. It's going to be pink times pink equals yellow times yellow. So use your colors. Okay, those two were the same color, and those two were the same color. Okay, so it's pretty easy to do. It's just part times part equals part times part. Okay, the second one is when you have two secants. So in other words, if I had arrows on this, it would continue going through. And we have this picture here where we still have the 4 parts. Now, these two right here are where you really have to pay attention to what I'm telling you. Otherwise, you're going to miss the questions on the notes and you're going to miss them in your work today. So when I tell you to pay attention, I'm telling you to pay attention. Okay. So what I want you to do is to highlight this little piece yellow, but then I want you to put a big piece out here. We're going to do the same thing with the pink. Highlight this little piece pink. And we're going to put a big piece out here. To find a missing piece when you have a problem like this, we don't use this little cord that's in here. But what we do is we use the piece that's on the outside and then we use the whole length of the segment. Okay, so the length of this segment is actually, I'm going to write it like this. The length of that segment is A added to B. The length of this segment is C added to D. Okay, when I show you that in the examples, I'm going to write it out exactly like that every single time, but I'm going to have numbers in there. Okay, so in my formula down here, notice these are the yellow pieces. Okay, and then these are the pink pieces. So what I'm doing is I am multiplying this piece times this piece, and then that's going to be equal to this piece times this piece. So little times big equals little times big. It might even help you to write that out. Like that. Little times big. Okay, the third one is kind of the same as this, but we have a tangent and a secant. Okay, so it's the same thing. Let's use the color we use down here because this is the same. But I can't do that up here. So let's just highlight this piece. And then we're going to put a little note that the way we do this, notice what it says right here. And I want that to be yellow, okay, because it's part of the yellow, is that we have to use it twice. So it's going to be A times A. So we're going to use this one twice, but this one is still going to be B times B plus C, which is the whole thing. So this is why your formula sheet is going to be very useful to you with this lesson, because you are going to have to slow down and really think about what these are telling you to do. This one's easy, but these you're going to have to really think about it. Okay. The only thing left on here that we haven't covered is arc length, which we're not going to cover, and then at the bottom the equation of a circle, which we will get to in the next set of notes. Okay, go to your notes. So these are the day 4 notes. I'll just throw some color there too. There we go. Okay, so right here, this is exactly what I went over. So we're going to put C blue page, so we don't have to write those down again. Okay. The problems are broken up into, there's like 4 of these, 4 of these, and 4 of these. So I think they pretty much go in order. All right, so let's look at the first question. All right, this is going to be real easy. You don't have to use the colors on your note, on your homework or whatever, unless you get confused and you need to. So basically, this is going to tell us to say x times 10 equals 14 times 15. And you know that it doesn't matter which one you write first. Okay, x times 10 equals 14 times 15. So 10x, and if you multiply that together, you get 210. And then if you divide, you get x equals 21. There's not really any way to check your answers on these unless you plug it back in and go 21 times 10 equals 14 times 15, and that's not really necessary. Okay, let's go down to number 3. Okay, remember the pieces that go together. We're going to say 27 times x plus 5 is going to be equal to, and it doesn't matter which one I start with, but I'm going to have to use the distributive property, so I want to write it with the 24 first. 24 times x plus 7. All right, so look at how that is set up. If you need to use your highlighters, these two multiply together and these two multiply together. That's exactly what I did to work out this problem. Okay, so let's go ahead and work this out. 27 times x is 27x. 27 times 5 is 135. 24 times x. 24 times 7 is 168. I need to get my x's on one side, so if I subtract 24, I'm going to skip some steps here. So if I subtract, that's going to give me 3x over here on the left. And if I subtract 135, that's going to give me 33 over here. And then I would get x equals 11. So aside from setting up the problems, the algebra you should have no trouble with. Okay. The only thing you need to pay attention to is if I ask you to find a segment, that we need to find those segments. Okay. All right. So I want you to do question number 2. I'm going to ask you for this one just because we're setting it up. I want you just to find x. Okay. So you are going to solve this for x. That is going to be the question that we answer. Go ahead and do that now. All right, let's see if you got it right. So we are going to say, and it doesn't matter which one of these you wrote down first, okay? But I put the 6 times 6, 6 times 6 equals 4 times 5x minus 1. Now, if you write the 5x minus 1 and the 4 over here, you guys still have to know that's distributive property, and you would just distribute backwards. I'm not teaching you distributive property. You should know it. So 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. I added 4 to get 40, and then I divided by 20, and I got x equals 2. Okay, So then a little bit harder. You do number 4. This time, I do want you to plug in, and your final answer will be TQ. So go ahead and do that, and then I'll check your answer. Your final answer is 27. So let's go over this. I said 14 times 2x plus 1, distribute, 28, 14. And then I said 18 times 2x minus 5, so that gives us 36x, and that gives us negative 90. So what I did was I subtracted 28, and I added 90. Okay, and then divide by 8. X equals 13. And then the question said, what is TQ? TQ is from here to here, which is 2x plus 1. So 2 times 13 is 26, plus 1 is 27. Okay. So now if you look at the problems, now it's like the second type of problem that we had. All right, I am going to insist that you write it out like I'm showing you in the notes. If you don't, from experience, you are going to miss these questions. Okay, so we are going to circle the parts that we're going to use. So I'm going to use this, and then I need to have the piece that's out here, and that piece is x plus 9 or 9 plus x, however you want to write it. So I'm going to write x plus 9 like that. Okay. And we're going to circle that because we're going to use that piece as well. And then we're going to use the 8. And then I'm going to use the piece that goes out here. But I don't have to put 8 plus 19. Go ahead and add those together. 8 plus 19 is 27. So we're going to have a 27 out here. Go ahead and circle that. Now I want you to look at what I have circled. Remember on your blue paper, we wrote little times big equals little times big. Little times big, at least that's what we wrote. Okay, so we're going to write 9 times x plus 9 equals 8 times 27. And I promise you, if you will write it out, like I'm showing you how to write it out here, you will get these right. So let's go ahead and distribute. 9 times x is 9x. 9 times 9 is 81. 8 times 27 is 216. Easy peasy. Subtract 81, divide by 9. So 216 minus 81 is 135. Divide by 9. And we get x equals 15. Okay. All right, I'll do the next one with you as well, and then I'll give you one to do by yourself. So circle the 13. Remember, it's always the piece that's on the outside. And then this out here is going to be x plus 13. Okay, and we're going to circle that. And then circle the 10. And this piece out here is going to be 52. Circle it. So 13 times x plus 13. Now, this has happened twice where this is the same number as this. It's just because there's an x here. That doesn't always happen. And then 10 times 52. Okay, so I want you to work this out. And this time it's going to ask for NL. So I want you to think about where you're going to substitute back in. Go ahead and work out this problem. Here's your answer. So 13 times x plus 13 equals 10 times 52. You can see the work. I get x equals 27. And then I'm going to plug in to find NL, which is the whole thing. That is represented by x plus 13. So I put 27 plus 13, and you get 40 for NL. This is not hard. You should be getting these right. Okay. Would you please go ahead and do number 7? Okay, let me help you on number 7 because it has a little bit more in it. Let's just make sure you get the right pieces. Okay, so we're going to use the 8. Watch what happens here. So I'm going to add these together. It's going to be 8 plus 3x plus 4. So if I'm adding those pieces together, that's really just 3x plus 12 combined like terms. Okay? You should understand that. 3x plus 12 right here. All right, so this is 7. And then this piece out here is going to be 7 plus 5x plus 2, adding the pieces together, which is really 5x plus 9. And if you can do that in your head, you don't have to show that extra step. You're just adding the two pieces together. Now, finish problem number 7. There's your answer. Look at how it's set up. Pause the video, look at it, make sure you understand it. X equals 3. Okay. Now, you should be able to do number 8 without me helping you. All the way to the end, final answer is, what is YZ? Okay, go ahead and take your time, do that problem, pause the video. You don't have to pause the video. The question's going to pause it for you. Okay. All right, the final answer is 9. So let me go over this with you real quick. So over here, 12, and then this is going to be 12 plus x plus 8. I recommend you write it out. You don't have to if you can do it in your head. Add that together, you get x plus 20. And then over here, it's going to be 15. And then 15 plus x minus 1. Guys, math, x minus 1. So 15 minus 1 gives us x plus 14. Use your brain. That is basic math. Okay, so the pieces I'm using are circled. 12 times x plus 20, 15 times x plus 14. You can see the math. You get x equals 10. This time it said YZ. YZ is just from here to here. So I'm plugging into the x minus 1, not the x plus 14. 10 minus 1 gives us 9. Okay, almost done. Those are probably the hardest ones. Okay, but you're going to use a little bit of that down here. All right, so the third property, show you on the blue paper. The third property says when you see a picture like this, you have to use this little piece twice. So you're basically going to multiply it times itself. That is really important that you think of it that way so that you're not tricked. And then this is going to be just like we did over here. Same thing. Okay, so I am going to circle this, but I'm going to put another one so that you can tell I am using it twice. And then I'm going to circle the 18. And then we're going to use the whole thing, which is 18 plus x, or x plus 18. Okay, so this is just like we did on the previous 4 problems. Add the pieces together, but then this, we have to multiply it together. You can think of 24 squared, but I tell you it's going to be easier if you go ahead and just write it twice. Let's see if that'll focus a little bit. There we go. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one we write first. I'll do the 18 times x plus 18, multiply those together. And that's going to equal 24 times 24. Just remember we have to use that short piece twice. 18x plus 18 times 18 is 324. And then 24 times 24 is 576. Subtract 18x, let's do that. So 576 minus 324 gives us 252. And then divided by 18, x equals 14. Okay, let's do number 11. This time, It's going to be a little tricky. Okay, so watch. What am I using twice? This one. Okay, so we're going to have x times x, and then I'm using the 27. Class, it is not 27 times 21. I have never said multiply the little pieces together. It has always been the big piece out here. And I'm telling you, if you're not taking your time on these notes and watching that, you are going to mess up. We need to add those together. If you need to write it like this, that's fine. That's going to be 48. So the pieces I am using are circled. So it's going to be x times x equals 27 times 48. We're going to go back to visit a little bit of Algebra 1, which we've kind of already done this when we've done the Pythagorean theorem. 27 times 48 is 1, 2, 9, 6. How do I get x by itself? Square root. Should come out to a whole number. I think they give us nice, pretty answers on these. X equals 36. Okay. All right, while that one's fresh on your brain, I'm going to do number 12 with you, and then you're going to do number 11 by yourself. So what am I using 2 of? The 3x. This is why I don't want you to write 3x squared, because it gets confusing. If you write 3x times 3x, you know you're going to multiply that, and you're going to get 9x squared. Okay, I'm using the 9, and then I'm using 25. Where'd that 25 come from? 9 plus 16. Okay, so the pieces I'm using are circled. 3x times 3x equals 9 times 25. 9x squared, and that's going to give us 225. Okay, order of operation says, now these are perfect squares, so I could take the square root of both sides, but this is the correct way to do it. I need to divide by 9 first. And you get x squared equals 25. And then you take the square root, and you get x equals 5. All right, you will see problems like this, one problem like that in your worksheet. So be sure you come back to this one and look at it. Pay attention to how I wrote this twice and I multiplied it together, and then pay attention that I had to divide by the number in front and then square root it. Okay. All right, last question. You are going to do number 10 by yourself. It's back to a basic problem. So I'm not going to give you any help on it. I want you to attempt the problem by yourself. Go for it. Final answer right here. Okay, so let's look how it's set up first. All right, first of all, 16 times 16. And then these two added together would be 8 plus 5x minus 1. Well, 8 minus 1 is a positive 7. So really that's 5x plus 7. So we're multiplying 8 times 5x plus 7. Okay, here's the setup. There's the work. And then the question said to find Pn. Pn is just from here to here, which is the 5x minus 1. So 5 times 5 is 25. 25 minus 1 is 24. Okay, you are done with your notes. Go ahead and mark this as done and give me a little smiley face down here so I know that you watched your video notes all the way to the end. Thank you, students.